Hey everyone, this is Stefan from Project Life Mastery, and today I'm going to share with you the letting go technique, also known as the release technique, which is a simple technique or process that you can use every day. In fact, you can use it all throughout the day. Anytime that you have any negative or disempowering emotion, thought, belief, negative or uncomfortable sensation that you might feel within your body, a conflict that arises, resistance, or even attachment to something, you can use this technique in some cases to literally let it go in a matter of seconds. In other cases, it might take minutes or even hours or even days, depending on the strength of the emotional charge of that emotion. It's quite powerful, and it's something that I use all throughout the day, and it allows me to no longer hold on to things that are consuming and weighing me down, because most often what people do is when they feel these emotions, they hold on to them and they attach to these emotions. In some cases, they even identify with them as if they're who they are. And then they carry it around with them and they allow it to weigh them down and consume them, and they end up suffering. In some cases, they might hold on to it for hours or days or even weeks. In some cases, months or years, depending on what it is. So for example, let's say that someone cuts you off in traffic and you feel angry. And you have an opportunity to let that go right then and there in the moment, to not allow it to consume you. Because it's something that you can't change, you can't control it. It's done, it is what it is. Someone cut you off. But oftentimes people, they want to hold on to that emotion and they want to justify and rationalize why they should feel this anger. But then they end up carrying it around with them throughout the day. Hours go by and they're in this state of anger. And then something happens, someone says something, and then they react in a state of anger. They see something on the internet, and they disagree with it, and they type a nasty or negative comment out of the state of anger that they're in. Or in some cases, someone might feel a loss, and they go through the process of grief. It could have been a loss of a loved one, a relationship, a job, money, whatever it might be, but there's a natural process to going through that emotional feeling of grief. But sometimes people hold on to that emotion, that feeling of loss, in ways that are inappropriate for much longer periods of time that allow them to suffer a lot longer than what they should. And so, for example, maybe they have a loss of a loved one and they're still holding on to it for months or even years down the road. In some cases, people, they're holding on to things that have happened to them or emotions that they've experienced from their childhood. And they're allowing that to consume them into their adulthood, and in some cases for the rest of their lives, suffering because of this emotion that they haven't learned to let go and release. And everyone has their reasons why they should feel the way that they do, but ultimately what I've learned is that you have the choice to let go, and you have to make the decision: would I rather feel right and gratified in my ego of why I should feel this way and to justify it, or would I rather feel happy and free? I don't know about you, but I'd much rather feel happy and free. But I am well aware and I recognize that not everyone is there. Not everybody is willing to feel happiness and freedom and inner peace. They would much rather get the payoff that they get by holding on to certain emotions or things that have happened to them in the past. So you have to be ready to let go. You have to be ready to surrender and to release things that have been consuming you. And oftentimes it's not till you get to the point where you're just sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. You're just sick and tired of feeling the suffering that's been weighing you down, and you've finally had enough and you're ready to let it go. That's been my experience. So there's a lot that I want to share with you guys today that I think can really benefit you guys. The purpose of my channel and what I do is to share with you guys anything that has impacted my life. And without a doubt, this is something that's impacted my life, and something that I seriously practice every single day, all throughout the day. Anytime I have awareness or attention, or I'm conscious of any negative thought, emotion, or belief, I use this process, and it's had some profound effects on me, and I want to pay it forward and share it with you guys so that hopefully some of you guys can benefit from this as well. There's a few different variations of this technique. One of my favorite and most transformational books that I've read is called Letting Go, A Pathway to Surrender by Dr. David Hawkins. I've referenced this book before in a video that I did on the map of consciousness, which shares the different levels of human consciousness people experience and live in and go through in life. And letting go is a process that not only allows you to let go of these emotions, but also your conditioning. the programs that you've downloaded from society that might not be serving you, the programs and the conditioning which essentially keep you stuck in different levels of consciousness. By letting go, it allows you to grow and raise your consciousness so that you can experience the higher levels of joy, peace, love, etc. So I'll link to that video in the description for you guys if you want to learn more about the map of consciousness. But I do recommend the book Letting Go if you want to go deeper into this. I'll share a little bit of Dr. David Hawkins' process in this video. And then of course there's Lester Levinson, who is the person that kind of popularized this release technique, and that eventually became the Sedona method, which there's a book and there's courses that are on that as well. So you can check out the Sedona method book and their courses if you want to learn their variation of this. They have 5 different ways of releasing and letting go. And then of course there is Michael Singer. He wrote the book The Untethered Soul and The Surrender Experiment, and he's got a great course called Living from a Place of Surrender. And I've actually done a video on what he shared with that on my YouTube channel a few years ago as well. So I just want to kind of share with you some of the sources and the resources that have inspired me to create this video and allowed me to study and practice this. And the danger that exists with just sharing this method with you, this technique, is that it's so simple that sometimes the ego can just dismiss it and say, oh, that's simple, I already know that. And it kind of disregards it and unfortunately doesn't allow you to use it or practice it. So that's why I think it is worthwhile to go through some of these books so that you can really grasp it and understand the significance and the context and the importance of it, and you'll be much more likely to apply it to your life. Okay, so a few things I want to share when it comes to this letting go technique that will kind of help you understand it. Now, right here I've got a pen in my hand. Okay, I can pick up this pen, this object, and I can hold on to it. As I hold on to this pen, I have the ability, you have the ability to let it go. Okay, so I can let go of this pen and I can put it down. Now, your emotions that you experience and even your thoughts are no different than any object. Okay, you can hold on to that emotion, but you also have that ability to let go of that emotion. The mistake that people make is they think that this pen, this object, this emotion is a part of them, okay, that they are this emotion. So for example, someone might say, I am depressed, or they might say, I am angry. That's not who you are, okay? You are not the emotion of anger. You are not the emotion of depression, okay? You are not any of these emotions. You're just feeling and experiencing these emotions. But the problem is that when you identify with the emotion and you say, this is who I am, okay, I am this object, then you're basically setting yourself up to habitually and consistently, perpetually experiencing that emotion for potentially the rest of your life because you've now identified with it. So it's recognizing that your emotions are not you. Your thoughts are not you. You experiencing them, they're universal. Everybody experiences the same emotions that you do. They're not unique. Every emotion that you've experienced, billions of human beings have also experienced throughout history over thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So they're not you, and you don't want to identify with them. So understand that you can let go of anything, okay? And I'm going to share with you what that process looks like. But you have to be very careful to understand that you are not these emotions. An analogy that I often use, it's almost like your emotions, your thoughts, these feelings, they're like clouds in the sky. And the clouds in the sky, they come and they go. Sometimes it might be a storm. It might be really ugly. Maybe you're going through a really hard time. But inevitably, what happens is the clouds, they fade. They come and they go. The storm will come and the storm will pass. You got to understand that with your emotions. And I think you understand this because, you've experienced emotions. You know that they're not permanent and they're not pervasive. You experience them and maybe you go to sleep and you wake up the next day, you no longer feel that emotion. You're in a different emotional state. All of us, we have experienced letting go at different times of our life. And I'll kind of share with you what the feeling is of letting go that you can probably relate to. So for example, have you ever had a time in your life where you parked your car in a parking garage, and it's one of those big parking garages with different levels, and you forgot where you parked your car? And so you're walking around the parking garage and you might be feeling frustrated. You might be feeling a bit of tension within yourself and your body. You might even be feeling some anger. And 10 minutes goes by, even 20 minutes goes by, and you don't know what floor it's on. You don't know if it's the H or the I's or what color it might be. And so you're feeling this emotion that's building up within yourself, but eventually what happens is maybe a car pulls out, and then you see your car, and then immediately in that moment you feel relief. In that moment you let go. You let go of that tension, you let go of that frustration, you let go of whatever it was that you were feeling that was making you uneasy or anxious. You let it go, and you felt this feeling of freedom and relief and calmness and peace that arose from letting go. That's what letting go feels like. Another example I could give you, let's say that you lost your phone. I recently lost my phone at the golf course. I left it on the driving range on this thing that was holding up my clubs. And sure enough, when you lose your phone, that feels like it's a part of you. It feels like it's another limb that you have. And so when you lose your phone, it's an uneasy feeling. And thank God I had the Find My iPhone feature. And the moment you find it, you look at it on the phone and you see where it is. You let go and you feel a sense of relief. And then sure enough, when you have that phone in your hands again, you let go even further and you just feel this calmness and this relief that consumes you. So that's what letting go feels like. Okay, and I'm sure you can relate to that. Now, how do you let go? Well, I'll share with you Dr. David Hawkins' process, because it's actually a very passive process. It's not active. It's not something that you really have to do. When you feel a certain emotion, okay, or a sensation within yourself or your body, instead of suppressing and repressing, which basically means that you're just taking that emotion, you're trying to avoid feeling it, so you sweep it under the rug, you put it in the closet, you don't want to deal with it, you don't want to feel it, you don't want to experience it, you just kind of avoid it, escape from it, and it's still there though, it's still consuming you, it's still weighing on you, you deny it, you don't want to admit that it's affecting you, but sure enough it is. So you don't want to do that, and you don't want to just express it. Expressing your emotion can kind of allow some of the steam to kind of come off of it, and it does release some of it, but it still gets reinforced and consumes you, but also you're transferring it onto other people as well. So if you feel angry and then you start yelling at people, then obviously you're creating suffering for them as well, and it's not really allowing you to let go of it. You're still holding on to that emotion. So instead, when you feel the emotion, what you really want to do is you just want to allow that emotion to be experienced. You want to welcome the emotion, and you want to allow it to run its course. That's it. It's as simple as that. You feel the emotion, instead of avoiding it, escaping it, suppressing it, expressing it, you just allow that emotion to be felt and to be there and to exist. And as you feel that emotion, it's not comfortable. Okay, it's not easy. It is simple, but it's not easy. I get that. But as you feel that emotion, the key that you want to make sure that you're aware of is that you don't identify with the emotion. Okay, you don't attach to the emotion and say, this is who I am. In fact, you don't even really want to label the emotion. You want to watch the emotion and witness the emotion as the observer. Okay, as just pure consciousness and awareness, you just watch and observe the emotion, you welcome it, you don't judge it, you don't make it wrong, you don't feel guilty for feeling this emotion, you don't, allow this emotion to identify with you and to hold on to it, you don't even try to resist it. Okay, all you do is just allow it to be, and then sure enough, it will run its course. And as it runs its course, then you've let it go. And now you're feeling this feeling of peace and harmony and freedom within yourself. No different than the clouds in the sky. The clouds are there, the storm is there. You just watch it. You watch the clouds, you observe the clouds, you witness it, you're patient with it, and sure enough, the clouds, they come and they go. The storm passes. It's the same thing with your emotions. It's the same thing with your thoughts. But what it requires is awareness. Awareness, because most often people, they feel these emotions, these thoughts, beliefs, these programs, they come up, but oftentimes people, as they come up, they're unconscious of it. They're not even aware of what they're doing and they're holding on to it. So whenever you do have that awareness, catch yourself, okay? Just maybe sit there with it, maybe close your eyes, maybe just focus on your breath, and maybe just watch it, where it is in your body, where the sensation is. Feel it, welcome it, and just let it be. If you're gonna say something to yourself, you could say, let it be. Let it be. Let it be. And then sure enough, it will pass. So that's one variation of it that Dr. David Hawkins talks about in his book, Letting Go. Highly recommend it. And the other one that I'll share with you parts of the Sedona method. The Sedona method actually has a few steps that you can go through. And actually one thing that I was reading from the Sedona method book that I liked that kind of explains this a little bit more as well is that your brain is kind of like a computer. There's the hardware, but then on the hardware, on the computer, there's the operating system, there's the software, there's the programs, there's all the files on it. Now, if you have a computer and the computer only has so much RAM, it has so much memory, and if you have all these different programs that are open running in the background on your computer, what's gonna happen? It's gonna slow it down. You know, if you have certain files on your computer that are viruses or corrupt files, then it's gonna compromise your operating system and it's gonna affect your ability for your computer to run and to operate. It's the same thing. Oftentimes people, they have these open programs, these suppressed, repressed emotions and beliefs and conflicts within themselves that are like open programs running on their computer that are slowing it down and they're compromising the efficiency of their computer, of their mind, of their well-being, their human experience. If you start closing those programs that are running in the background and you let them go, then it starts freeing up the RAM, it frees up memory. Or another example could be you have, if you have so much storage capacity on your computer and you have a lot of files that your computer's kind of maxed out, it's going to slow it down. And so you have to delete a lot of those files so that it can free up the memory and the RAM, and your computer operates much, much better. It's the same kind of thing as that as you let go of these emotions, you just run and operate so much better. Your experience as a human being is so much freeing. Much less suffering is involved. And so that's another analogy that I can give you guys to help you understand this. Now with the Sedona method, the first step is to feel the emotion. Okay, feel the emotion, welcome the emotion. Okay, this is actually the second step is to ask yourself, can I allow this emotion? Or can I welcome this emotion? And you just want to sit with it. The third step is to ask yourself, could I let go of this emotion? Could I let go of this emotion? And as you're feeling, as you're experiencing it, the answer might be yes, it might be no. Often, even if you say no, you're still releasing part of it and some of it. But we all have the capacity to let go. You know, I've proven to you that at times in your life you've let go of certain emotions, so you definitely could let it go. The next question, number 4, is would I let it go? Would I let this emotion go? Am I willing to let this emotion go? And so you just want to check within yourself and ask yourself that. And the answer might be yes, because inevitably you conclude that why should I suffer? You know, if eventually I'm going to let this go, I either am going to let this go hours from now, days from now, weeks from now, months, or years from now, or I'm never going to let it go at all. But if I'm going to eventually let this go, I might as well just let it go now. Why suffer for days, weeks, months, years if I don't need to? Might as well just let it go now and spare myself that suffering. And then the 5th question is when? When? Inevitably also for that, the answer is now, because there's no other time besides right now. And then you repeat that process again and again. And I know it sounds so incredibly simple, and you might even think, oh, that's, your ego might think, oh, that's not going to work, that's bullshit. Whatever it is, just be aware of that. have attention and consciousness to the ego and what the ego does, which is it resists. It resists and it's trying to preserve its identity and its beliefs that it has and its feeling of righteousness. And so even your ego, as it arises as you go through this process, as you feel resistance to it, and you feel your reasons to justify why you should still feel this way, you even want to bring attention and awareness to that and just watch and observe. Watch and observe, because the ego hates being found out. It hates being caught. So essentially, that's what the letting go and the release technique is. It's a simple process. Like I said, in some cases, you can let go of things in seconds, minutes. It's incredible, especially as you get better at it, how effective it can be. And it's one of those things also that I'd encourage you to give it time. Okay, give it time. Allow yourself to practice this for maybe a few months. And just whenever you can remember to do it, do it. You know, obviously there's books on this, there's workshops and courses, and there's actually courses where you go and you just do letting go technique for days with a group of people. There's actually even written letting go and release techniques that you can also do. But you know, this idea of letting go, surrendering, releasing, it's not new. It's been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Religion speaks about surrendering your problems to God, surrendering your life to God. Buddhism talks about letting go of your attachments and your ego. So this is not a new idea or concept, but what I appreciate about it is that it's you know, these resources make it practical and something that can be practiced on a daily and moment by moment basis. And it's quite profound. It's quite powerful. So hopefully you guys benefit from it. I want to thank you guys so much for your time watching and being here with me today. Always an honor, always a pleasure and privilege. I wish you guys the best. If you want more content from me, subscribe here on Project Life Mastery. Of course, if you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up here and leave a comment below. Let me know your experience. Let me know anything that's been benefiting you and helping you in your life, or maybe this has helped you in some way. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below. God bless you. I'll see you again soon.